Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is 3 rounds in the APFC Featherweight Division, sponsored by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And now introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a freestyle fighter. He stands 6 feet 2 inches tall, and he officially weighed in at 146.2 pounds. Coming in tonight with a record of 3 victories with 1 loss, Damas y Caballeros de San Juan, Puerto Rico, Rico, the demigod Perez. And across the cage, his opponent fighting out of the red corner, a mixed martial artist. He stands 5 feet 10 inches tall and officially weighed in at 146.2 pounds. Coming in tonight with a record of 3 wins and 1 loss, and fighting out of Madison, Wisconsin, Hazen Rice. And your referee in charge is Chris Claviter.
Chris Claviter, our referee, as these featherweights prepare to lock horns underneath the bright lights at APFC 16. Christian Reynoso alongside the indomitable David Evans. What a night we have thus far, and you can feel the energy rise as these featherweights walk into the cage.
You want to talk about energy, we're talking about Rico Perez. He said he wants to get out there and just put on an exciting, striking display, and he's off to a good start so far.
You see him there observing the battlefield. There's something to the way that he can just look over and he just seems so in control right now, does the demigod. It's got to be a little bit unsettling for his opponent.
You know, he's stalking in, he's looking to frame and measure to land that big right hand. However, his opponent, Rice, getting to what he does best, right to the wrestling, in on that double leg, looking to climb in transition to possibly mount, doing a great job getting that right arm over the shoulder of Perez. Might have the tides turn just like that.
No kidding. Well, locking up a body triangle from the bottom there is the demigod. You got to have some really long legs to do that. You don't see that all too often, David.
I mean, 6'2" at featherweight. I mean, he's going to be able to pull off some funky stuff on the bottom here. I mean, we know him as a striker. However, we're seeing some good stuff off of the back. Like you said, the figure 4 body lock. Looking like he was going to go over with the, what is it, the De La Hiva. I don't want to mess it up. Locked there off the bottom. Looking to isolate the far arm. Those are things you can only do if you have a significant reach off of your back.
Yeah, looking to set up that triangle off the bottom is the demigod, but also potentially threatening a Kimura as he's over the shoulder.
Reaching across the back there, locking that Kimura on that near arm. I mean, pushing off the hips. I mean, if you ask me, he looks like a jiu-jitsu guy.
One thing's for certain is the demigod is already very well-rounded. Just this his 5th amateur bout for the primal MKE fighter.
Are we looking modified buggy choke there for a second? I mean, he's throwing a little bit of everything off of his back so far.
Certainly unorthodox off his back is Rico Perez. But it feels like Hazen Rice is kind of comfortable settling in inside the guard, pressuring in here and waiting for his opportunity to start landing strikes or potentially threaten the back.
Rice is doing everything right up to this point, able to transition in that scramble to the back, looking for the rear naked choke. Giving the demigod something to think about, proving that maybe he's human after all. It's not quite under the chin, but we see sometimes it can turn into a jaw crank, a neck crank, and fights finish here.
It looks as if Perez is potentially going to survive the situation, but Hazen Rice showing us that he's very much in this fight.
Perez doing a great job isolating that hand there of Rice. Normally you want to attack the hand that's threatening you, the one under the chin. However, he was able to get the far hand, which created some space, created some distance, and got him out of hot water there.
A smile from ear to ear on the face of Rico Perez as he clearly didn't find that first round all too concerning.
Here we have the replay. Perez was looking to measure up with that long uppercut from far out. However, Rice said exactly what he was going to do. He's going to go out there, get to his wrestling, got to that double leg, and just kind of had his way throughout the majority of that round. Was able to get to the back here of Rico Perez, threaten the rear naked choke. I think that's easily going to give him the round, and I think Perez now has something to think about here going into the second round.
We will see if Hazen Rice goes back to the wrestling well, as he was pretty quick to look for that takedown early on in the fight before finally securing it about midway through the first round. Rico Perez looking very loose again as he approaches this second stanza. David, is it just me, or are these some huge featherweights?
Man, I think that's just the state of featherweight now. I mean, as a featherweight currently actively competing at 5'8", man, these guys seem to get taller and leaner as the time goes by.
Starting off with a front kick there is a demigod. Just narrowly missing, getting caught with a big hook there was Hazen Rice.
Perez throwing those strikes from left field, coming in with a front kick, jumping side kick, swinging left and right from the hip, man. He has to be careful, though. I mean, he has a lot of flash. He seems fluid. His movement's good. However, he does get out of position here, and for a wrestler like Rice, that's what he's looking for.
Interestingly enough, now it's Rico Perez with the huge takedown.
Perez gets in, locks the body up, dumps Rice down. Let's see how he can work now from the top. We saw him off the back. He seemed to have some great mechanics here on the ground. Now let's see how he moves offensively here.
Perez looking very strong from inside that clinch as he brought the very accomplished wrestler down to the mat. Now potentially locking up that far side wrist, maybe going for that Dagestani handcuff there is Rico Perez.
Perez doing a great job just keeping control of Rice here, looking to slide the boot in on the right-hand side and split Rice in half. That's going to prevent Rice from being able to build his hips up and get to his hand and build a base ultimately. However, Rice on the bottom just holding, looking for a bit of a Kimura position.
Correct,
however,
yeah.
It's on the wrong side. He's not really going to be able to leverage it right now. However, he uses it to create space and gets back into a shot of his own.
What a beautiful scramble by Hazen Rice, working his way to the top. Now
we have a mutual guillotine position going on here. This is unique to say the least, Christian.
Yeah.
I think Perez is going to have more of the leverage here, but
I've heard of going foot to foot, but never neck to neck, David. That was a first. Now it's inside the guard for Hazen Rice.
What Rice needs to do is he needs to get his legs to the left side of Perez here, because he's in danger now that he's in the middle. If Perez scoots his hips out to the left side, he can maybe attack guillotine. Rice needs to make sure he doesn't let that get deeper. He needs to get his hips out to the far side of Perez and get perpendicular.
It does. Oh, it felt momentarily like Perez potentially did have that under the chin of Rice. But to your point, David, the position was not quite there. Hazen Rice potentially wise to the whole thing now, back inside the full guard.
If you're Rice, you can't rest here. We've seen Perez throw many different techniques off his back. He can't rest with his hands on the mat here, because someone like Perez, we saw him throw a possible triangle choke, I believe, in the first round here. He has attacks off his back. You got to stay busy when you get him in dominant positions.
Yeah, I started off this matchup talking about the striking acumen of the demigod, but one thing's for certain is he's been working on a lot of other things at Primal MKE.
Here we have Perez jumping in with that Spartan-like side kick, following it up with an uppercut, just swinging from the hip here. Not able to land much, but I mean, constantly moving forward. He got into this body lock position and dumped Rice on his hips. I think we were all shocked to kind of see that from Perez. He had some success, got the back here. However, Rice was able to create a scramble position, get his hips out and reverse it into a double leg, and then we went neck to neck with that mutual guillotine, but Perez got the better of it, but wasn't able to finish the fight or attack it or threaten Rice in that junction of the fight.
A very exciting first 2 rounds as Hazen Rice and the demigod Rico Perez face off in the prelims of APFC 16. 2 featherweights with a ton of potential, looking to use the other as a springboard to that next step tonight inside of the APFC cage. Chris Claviter gets us going in round 3.
Perez marching forward, taking control of the cage here. Rice in on the single leg, high C there, dumps Perez down. He has to be careful. Perez could possibly, I thought he was looking to go guillotine, but he's actually over the back here of Rice. So not much of a threat there as far as the submission is concerned, but maybe in a good position to counter, get his hips up, or even dump him over.
Absolutely, using that double overhook and a butterfly hook there is Rico Perez looking to flip position. It's going to be tricky to sweep somebody like Hazen Rice with all the wrestling that he's done in his life.
Rice looking to lock the legs here of Perez. Look for him to maybe climb the body, perhaps go side control here. Or, as we know, wrestlers tend to be comfortable in the half guard position. He needs to get his right arm back, though, however, because Perez is in a position to where he could possibly create space and look to come out the back door on Rice. Who would have thought, I mean, this would be a grappling display here for both of these guys.
Well, Hazen Rice choosing to go to that wrestling well more than once definitely had a lot to do with that, is when he has gone to that outside single, he's had great success putting the demigod on his back. This is the second time he employed that same takedown.
And he's done a great job getting here. However, he needs to build. With someone as dynamic as Perez, you never know when he can flip the switch and put himself back in the fight. You get Perez in a dominant position, we need to not only secure the position, we need to do some damage. We need to look for ground and pound. We need to look to advance and threaten submissions as well, too.
1 minute remaining in the entirety of this bout, as Hazen Rice using his grappling acumen to try to thwart the striking of Rico Perez, who has shown us in this matchup he's much more than just a striker. Nonetheless, that top pressure of Hazen Rice absolutely stifling.
Perez came into this matchup with a lot of energy. He was supremely confident yesterday in his flash. Right now, with 30 seconds left, it's time to pull it out. We can't just have it before. We got to be able to have it when we're in the midst of the war, when we're in the midst of the chaos, and when we're down and out. This is where you prove that. This is where you prove that you're a performer. This is when you prove that you have the capabilities that you say you have. And Rice able to isolate the back position here and just continues to go to work and grind on Perez.
With 10 seconds remaining in the fight, if you're Hazen Rice, finishing in this position is much to your chagrin, as it looks like he'll be finishing this bout with the back of the demigod as we go to the judges' scorecard, as Hazen Rice and the demigod Rico Perez go all 9 minutes. Very evenly contested matchup, although it did feel the wrestling acumen of Hazen Rice may have been enough to pull him just ahead.
I think the wrestling, the positional control here of Rice should give him the edge. I mean, you never know, fights are subjective. Here we have Perez, you know, he came out hot early, throwing punches and bunches. However, Rice made the adjustments, changed levels, got to that single leg. The outside single, was able to dump Perez on his butt multiple times and then secure takedowns, advance positions, control Perez pretty much for the entirety of the fight.
Rico Perez and Hazen Rice, potentially the type of fighters that could see each other once again, be it as amateurs or professionals, as they both came in with matching records and showed just how evenly contested they are as featherweights. We'll have to wait for our judges to tabulate, but as of right now, well, I'm not making any predictions. That's outside of my pay grade, David.
No, let's stick to our job here in the booth. I would hate to be the judges here sometimes, man. It's a tough job.
With that being said, I think there is a reason it's taken a while to tabulate these scorecards. But it looks like this decision has been rendered. Let's make it official with Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of action, we go to the scorecards. And our first judge scored the fight, 30-27 Perez. Another judge had it, 29-28 Rice. And our third judge, sitting at cage side, scored the fight, 29-28 for your winner by split decision out of the red corner, Hazen!